Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Monday night Bible session. It's 28 June 2021. I'm asking everybody to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Okay, this is a non-Messianic channel. It's Tanakh and Torah. And I'm say shalom and welcome everybody. And we're going to do our moment of silence for Creator and His Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts, and all that they are doing to bring about our prophesied return. Then we'll do a prayer and a song and current event. Oh Lord, we thank you for your great mercy and for your great power and wisdom. And we tarry, waiting for your powerful deliverance of your people Israel. Oh Lord, you have given us insight into the scriptures of our forefathers. And you, oh Lord, have directed us to who you are and your role in the goings on of heaven and earth. We come this day doubtless that you will appear and that you will gather your nation from among these wicked Gentiles. Oh Lord, you spoke through your prophet Isaiah and said that you would help Abraham's seed, whom you have scattered. You have completed that promise as this day. Oh Lord, you said you will remove the darkness from around us. Tarry not, O Lord. The latter days are here, and we are waiting and watching for you, O Lord. Peace be unto you. Okay. Let me get the songs right quick. Okay, I'm going to read 29, Psalms 29. This is the voice of the Lord. It says, the voice of the Lord in the storm. So give unto us the Lord, O ye mighty. Give unto the Lord glory and strength. Give unto the Lord the glory due unto his name. Worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. The voice of the Lord is upon the waters. God of glory thundereth. The Lord is upon many waters. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty. The voice of the Lord breaketh the cedars. Yea, the Lord breaketh the cedars of Lebanon. He maketh them also to skip like a calf. Lebanon and Syrian like a young unicorn. The voice of the Lord divideth the flames of fire. The voice of the Lord shaketh the wilderness, and the Lord shaketh the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of the Lord maketh the hinds to cast, and this discovereth the forest, and in his temple doeth everyone speak of his glory. The Lord sitteth upon the flood. Yea, the Lord sitteth king forever. The Lord will give strength unto his people. The Lord will bless his people with peace. So that was Psalms 29. It's the voice of the Lord in the storm. That's the Psalm of David. Okay. So with that being said, anybody got any current events? Nope.
I thought it was shalom, everyone. There's this new series out that Netflix has, and it's called Sweet Tooth, and it's about a hybrid. It's like a human, and half deer. So then I was thinking about the satyrs, and then in Jasher. And it's like all of this stuff is like they're trying to prepare the people for what they already know is in our books.
Right.
It's not. Yes, the first. It just started. It's a new series on Netflix, and it's called Sweet Tooth.
Yeah. When did it start?
It started already.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, and Leonard, that those what I sent you and spoke to you about earlier today about the signs, the hidden signs that incorporated in our everyday lives that we don't really realize or take notice that we're using, saying, or doing, and seeing our favorite athletes throwing satanic signs up, and we don't, and sometimes we do them and don't even realize what it means. But
Right.
I put that out to everyone on on the message group, so if anyone interested in looking at them, so you can be familiar and acclimated with these crazy signs that mean something more than what we think it that we're not aware of.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Like I was saying, it's secret oaths. Like I was saying, it goes back to the angels and what happened on Mount Hermon and all that. They got I was telling you about Steve Coakley. You know, so you got to really watch them. They dogged him out. They ended up killing him. They put something in his food, I think, and killed him. But he was talking about how it's a group of black folks. You know, they call them boule. That's a buffer in between them. That's the reason we've been in the predicament we're in so far, because they choosing the leaders that they want us to have, and they not already uh, sodomize them. I mean, we have to call it for what it is. They not already did a number on them, and they already got them under their yoke, and so they'll bring them out to us, and we are glorifying them and all that, but they with them. And like I was telling you, W. E. Du Bois. You know, you go to any HBCU anywhere, they got W. E. Du Bois up on a pedestal way up, but he the one undermined Marcus Garvey. They use him to undermine Marcus Garvey, and they've been doing that for time immemorial. And we sitting there worshiping them and thinking that something gonna happen, but it ain't not gonna happen because they not already told them what they want them to do. And they gonna bring it all the way out to, that's what all the sororities and all it is. Like I was saying, it's a group. Those sororities, those Greek fraternities, is uh, the breeding ground for they looking for some diabolical Negroes, and so they start out in like I say, I don't know if you can handle this or not, but they start out with HBCUs with those fraternities, those are all those sororities and fraternities. Then that's a lower level. Like I was telling you, it's called compartmentalization, just like a teller in a bank. You know, the big time bankers, the Illuminati bankers, and all them, they running guns and murdering people, getting money for it and all that behind the scenes. But the teller, all she do is come in there from 9 to 5 and do transactions across the counter. But it's another compartment behind now when that's wicked as hell. But she don't know nothing about it. She just doing her little job, and that's what that's what those fraternities are, sororities. It's a certain level. They'll bring you in. It's all of them is homosexual. It's tied to homosexuality and the sexual debauchery and all that. And then once they get you in there and they see certain ones that that's just abnormal than the rest of them, they'll call them out. And then they'll try him and see what he's down with it. Then they bring him on in to the back door, and just like with Freemason, they worshiping Lucifer, but on the lower levels, they just Freemasonry. They go in there once a month, way over to their little lodge and do what they're gonna do. But there's some more stuff going on when you get up to around 30 degrees, 31, 32, and 33-degree levels. It's satanic. They worshiping Lucifer and Baal, but they got everybody else. These lower levels who bring in all the money, with a membership, but the money being used for satanic reasons. And like I said, homosexuality and all that, debauchery, pedophilia and all that. That's what that is. All of this, all that whole setup. And like you were saying, I didn't get it. I didn't get that. You have to come in through YouTube. I think we got 10 people in the back. That's Mac. So when you have I was showing how those, like a soda bottle, when you get a chance all the sodas, like the pine sol, all that, just flip it over on the upside down, and turn it upside down. They got all these symbols on the bottom of them that it don't mean nothing. You wouldn't think, it don't have no reason to be there. But all these companies hold allegiance to Lucifer. Like I said, all them same companies that we see now, they the ones funded Hitler. And not only do they fund Hitler, they funded Napoleon. And so you say, what you talking about? Napoleon brought total chaos. And then after he did what they wanted him to do, he got puffed up. He didn't want to cut off what they wanted him to cut off it. So they had these Illuminati bankers had to send those mercenary armies in there to kill him at Waterloo. So same thing with Hitler. They brought him on the scene to bring about destruction and all that, so they can come in and tear up everything through war, then come back and rebuild it and make trillions and trillions of dollars off of it and bring in a new order. Like, for example, Great Britain, I'm telling you, it's 10 different heads that's only 4 beasts. So Great Britain had did what it was going to do. They started World War One, or it might be World War II, and then Great Britain failed, and America had to come rescue Great Britain. Well, Great Britain could no longer boast to be just a superpower because America had to save them. So then America became the superpower, and we see that manifesting itself again right now. And that's how these people work, through, like the Most High said, Ezekiel 35, through by the sword, you're gonna rule, and that's what he's doing. But anyway, like I said, look at those those symbols on the bottom of those sodas. You indirectly dealing with this stuff but don't know it. Like when you drinking it, you holding it, you handling it, but you don't know it. And so everything, when you look around, once somebody tip you off, you look and you see sun is on it, sun on the bottom of them bottles, sun on lemon joy, sun is on bleach. Everything you look at, you got the sun symbol on it, which is that's Lucifer, the morning star. But we ain't hip to that. And for example, I got a couple of books here I'm gonna show you in a minute. But like for example, the church, the building itself. We was talking this morning, Kenny, about obelisk. So that's an obelisk on top of the church. On top of every church, that steeple, there's an obelisk. Come out of Egypt. And so, what is an obelisk? It's a penis. It's hard as Lucifer penis, and it's a direct, it's a denigration to the Most High. It's looking down. That's what that is. So that's why they have an obelisk in St. Peter's at the Vatican. They got an obelisk there. They got one in Washington D.C. and they got one in Switzerland. Let me see. London. So that's the London is the financial part of it. They didn't already put the satanic mark on that. They got an obelisk in Washington D.C. That's the military side of it, and then they have an obelisk in Rome. That's the religious side. So reason I'm saying that is I keep saying the Antichrist already came. So you already the fourth beast is already here. You already dealing with the beast system been here. We at the end of the beast system. When Israel get delivered, that's the end of the beast system, man. It's the beginning of it. So like I said, the Antichrist, if you got a beast system or Antichrist system, the Antichrist had to come first. So that's why I'm telling you, let me show it to you again, because it may register now. So you go to Daniel. Yeah, these things have to be realized, because once you realize it, the melanin that's in you just gonna go to work on something else. Because now that's been registered. It been formulated in your mind. Now you're gonna go on to something else.
And hey, Leonard, with this stuff, it's amazing how they're using our very own people to push their agenda. Because in
Right.
one of those signs, if you watch LeBron James, he shows he shows just for every game he shows 3 different type of satanic symbols before he get on the court.
Right.
And know how did you guys see him throw the chalk in
Yeah.
the air? But
Right.
also that's one of his things. I don't know what the chalk in the air means, but he does throw, like you would think he's throwing gang signs, but he actually showing these actual satanic symbols
Right. That's
before he get on
Baphomet.
the court.
That's the Baphomet. That's Lucifer. Right. So, yeah, right. And it's not just him. It's all of them. Once you find out, I mean, he just, it just turned me all away from Hollywood. Once when I found all this stuff out, I just, it ain't the same no more because they sell out, total sellout. I'm in Daniel chapter 7. Let me see. Chapter 8. Verse 23. Well, I'm gonna start at verse 18. Let me see. Chapter Daniel 8. So he giving interpretation of the dream he had of the ram and the he-goat. And he says in 18, now as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright. And he said, behold, I will make thee know what is to be in the last end of indignation, for the time appointed the end shall be. So I told you before on a few occasions that the end of Israel as a nation, he burned out on Israel. So he's going to bring the nation of Israel to the end. He's not talking about the end of the world because we still dealing with it. The world's still going on right now. So he ain't talking about the end of the world, the end of Israel as a nation. Daniel was in Babylon. And Babylon is the first beast. And then he just had a dream of the second and the third beast. And he breaking down what's going to happen. That's why I'm telling you about the 400 years in Genesis chapter 15 about Abraham is not talking about now. Abraham was talking about Egypt. But anyway, it says 19 says, 20 says the ram, that's the second beast, which I saw having 2 horns, or the kings of the Medes and Persia. The rough goat is the king of Greece. And the great horn between his eyes is the first king, that's Alexander. You can't get around that. 22. Now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of this nation, but not by his own power. We already know that happened. Alexander died, and 4 of his generals took over. They all Edomites. Alexander is an Edomite. They ruling the Greeks. He not a Greek. His dad, grandfather was Zephno, and his daddy was Philip. They Edomites. So they ruling these Greeks. So 23, and in latter times of their kingdom, third beast, that's what we in, the Greek kingdom. When the transgressors are come to a full, right? See that? Come to a full. From Cain to right here, Anti-Epiphanes is the epitome of these people. They wickedness and came to a full. So it says, in the latter times of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to a full, the transgressors, that's Cain's descendant, a king of fierce countenance and understand dark sentences shall stand up. That's the Antichrist. See? So, like I say, Sam Walton can't start Walmart now. He dead. He started it back then, and he made Walmart what it is. Then he died. He can't come at the end of when Walmart already been formulated and discovered. He can't come now. He had to come in first and set it up. That's why it's called Walmart, because his name Sam Walton. So anyway, so this third beast, the fourth beast is the beast system. Is the the Antichrist system. That's the fourth beast. So it says 24. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. He shall destroy wonderfully, and he shall prosper, practice, destroy the mighty and the holy people. See that? He destroyed the holy people. What temple, if the Antichrist come now, what temple are you going to tell? Ain't no temple. What temple are you going to tell? So this dude right there, Anti-Epiphany is the Antichrist. And he destroyed Israel as a nation, cut them off. Most High used him to cut them off. So all this time, we've been dealing in the beast system. That's what I'm trying to get you to see. Like I just showed you these three obelisks. One of them is in London, one is in America, and one is in Rome. And all three of these places is city-states. They're country ruled by its own self. It's inside of another country, but it's got its own rules and regulations called city-states. That's what London, a city-state, Washington D.C. is a city-state, and Rome is a city-state. We've been dealing with the beast system. We coming to the end of it. When he wake Israel up, how the Antichrist gonna come after he wake Israel up? It don't make no sense. So that's what they done done to us as far as our, like I said, thinking like a Hebrew. You know, you sitting there waiting on the Antichrist, and you got something way more important than that. You need to be trying to figure out who the Lord of hosts is. You know. So let me show these books right quick. We'll move on to something else. Yeah. Okay. 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 Can y'all see these books from right here? Let me see if I have to take some more people out here. Do you see that?
Yes. Not good.
Said my people.
Hold up. Okay. See that? That's out of her, my people. This dude's guy here did a sheer job on you. You get that one. He show you how, like for example, like I said, geometry. You got a guy named C.J. Coaster, but you got geometry. It's sacred geometry where they build a building, and it's got certain type of satanic numerals on the building, the way they designed it, and it's working all kind of satanic stuff on the people that's coming by and dealing with it. Then I was telling you about a typology that's satanic too.
Who's the author of that book?
It's C.J. Koster. Got that?
Yeah.
So anyway, like a church house. It's like I was telling you about, these fallen angels became diabolical. They first started sleeping with women, but they became diabolical and perverted to the utmost degree. So they ended up out sleeping with animals, giraffes, and all that, and lions. That's how you get all these crossbred people. So when you understand all that, that's how these people, that's what's going on with that. So like I said, you go into a church, you got already got the steeple up there with that's a Horus, Baal's penis, but the door to the church, it's called a yoni. It's a woman's sexual organ, and so the people is semen. They coming into the church. It ain't got nothing to do with church. Ain't got nothing to do with Yahweh. It's old ancient Egyptian and Greek, satanic stuff going on. They call it yoni. Yoni. That's what it is. It's, so the people, and they're looking at the people is like, like I said, it's like semen. Yeah. But like I say, who know that? So you ain't think about nothing like that when you go to church. But that's what's going on with and that's why all the stuff you see that's going on in the church is because of that. Because it's all sexual, perverted. Like I said, with the little bitty angels flying around with the big butts. We ain't no angels in heaven, no little angels, no little bitty kid angels in heaven. That's the mind of these people. Like I said, and the same mind that concocted that and that's doing all that, the same mind concocted the New Testament. And you sitting around arguing with somebody, you call yourself dialoguing with them about some garbage they wrote in the New Testament. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, look at those on the bottom of those bottles, and there's no reason for. I got an example right here. Let me show it to you. See right here. See that? That's the sun on there. You ain't paying no attention. Let me see if I can get it right. Oh, coordination. No. Let me see. There you go. See that? Sun on there. That ain't causing that bottle to stand up at all. It's on there. It's satanic. It's the sun. It's a symbol of the sun. And you look down through the top of it. They got, and that's on. We ain't paying no attention to it because we throw it off on it. And it's all it's all over the place. On all the stuff you getting and all the stuff you dealing with. It's like I was showing you with the money. We got all kind of rooms and satanic spells they put on the money. But here go the other book right here. I don't know if everybody heard of that one. It's called Babylon Connection. Yeah. Can you see that?
It's small.
Okay, let me hit a couple of these people. See it now?
Yeah. And who's the author?
Uh, Ralph Woodrow. Yeah. So that's like that. I mean, it's got other books out there, but those are the ones going to lay the foundation for you. Okay. Yeah. So, anybody else got anything on the current events? I got a couple I want to deal with. Yeah. What I'm dealing with tonight is it's Genesis chapter 6 when it says that I got with giants on earth. I want to go all the way in on that. So if I go too far in the rabbit hole, somebody just holler red rock, I'll back up. Uh, uh, so
Red Rock.
yeah, red rock. So I'm with let me get this. Here we go. I was telling you about 10 years ago, it might have been around 2012, 2013, somewhere in there, the UN made a proclamation, just like Cyrus did, that America had did some serious atrocities to African American, and they needed to fix it. And so, like I said, they gave them everything they needed to fix the problem. So they gave them like $23 trillion that was allocated to them to recommend us, but it ain't happened yet. So right here, it just happened again the other day. Right here it says, let me get this. The UN Human Rights Chief, this lady right here, chief asks countries to stop denying racism and dismantle it instead. See that? Like I said, if you don't believe we leave in here, this is right here. Look, it's happening so fast. A new report from the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bassett, offers a sweeping look at the root causes of racism and urges countries around the world to do more to make amends to African people and African people of African descent. The Associated Press report. See that? So he went right to us. Okay, so it says, I'm calling on all states to stop denying and start dismantling racism, to end impunities and to build trust, to listen to the voices of the people of African descent, and to confront past legalities, whatever it is, and deliver redress. Back said in the video statement. The report, which launched after the killing of George Floyd, seeks to ramp up efforts to end racial justice, seek punishment for rights violation by police, ensure marginalized groups who speak out against racism are heard, and the whole institutions accountable for past wrongdoing. So that's all the colleges like uh, those Ivy League schools. That's how they came about from slavery, money from slavery. Back it suggests a host of solutions to remedy injustice, including issuing reparations. See that? It's gonna come so fast. You're gonna wake up one morning with a truckload of money on your way out of here. It says, however, she wrote that reparations should not only be equated with financial compensation, adding that others measures include restitution, rehabilitation, acknowledgement of injustices, apologies, memorialization, educational reform, guarantees that such injustices won't happen again. Like I say, the money already in the bank. A lot of people don't even know that. Said the UN backed the Human Rights Council Commission the report during a special session last year following the murder of George Floyd, a black American who was killed by white police officers in Minneapolis in May 2020. The officer, Derek Chauvin, was sentenced to 22 and a half years in prison. Okay, let me read a little more. It says, the protest I can't say that word, bystanding video showed how Floyd gasped repeatedly, I can't breathe, as onlookers yelled to Chapin to stop pressing his knee on his neck. Let me see what this lady's saying.
And found striking similarities and patterns. It is untenable. Systemic racism needs a systemic response. We need a transformative approach that tackles the interconnected areas that drive racism and lead to repeated, wholly avoidable tragedies like the death of George Floyd. I'm calling on all states to stop denying and start dismantling racism, to end impunity and build trust, to listen to the voices of people of African descent, and to confront past legacies and deliver redress. We examine death at the hands of law enforcement officials in different countries with varying legal systems and found striking similarities and patterns. Several families described to me the agony they faced in pursuing truth, justice, and redress, and the distressing presumption that their loved ones somehow deserve it. It is disheartening that the system is not stepping up to support them. This must change. Only approaches that tackle both the endemic shortcomings in law enforcement and address systemic racism and the legacies it is built on will do justice to the memory of George Floyd and so many others whose lives have been lost or irreparably damaged.
Right. So, like I said before, when they do this right here, they have all the money and the resources for whoever they're talking to fix the problem. So it's getting ready. It's happening already as we speak. It's gonna look like it happened overnight, but they've been working on it. Let me get this right quick. Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Is it any is there any way we can read what that UN human rights thing you just had up?
Is there a way you can do what?
I'll see it. You found it. Where'd you find it?
Oh, I just go to YouTube. You know what I mean? When you come on the computer, it's got all the news, current events on
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
So I got it.
And yeah, because I'm just curious as to whether or not, and I would think that she did, but I'm wondering if the continent is going to be able to get reparations because they're still suffering from the things that you know uh, colonizers have done and still doing.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Trying to figure out what I'm doing. Okay. See, yeah, right here it says I was telling you about China is the 10th incarnation of the fourth beast, right? And I told you that when now the Chaldeans took us into captivity, but people not looking at it, paying attention to it, but Chaldeans took us into captivity in Babylon for 70 years, but the Cyrus, the Persians, released us. It wasn't the Chaldeans that released us. It was Cyrus and the Persians released us. So America went and got us on the west coast of Africa, brought us over here, but it's the Chinese gonna be behind releasing us. So we say right here, China backed by 65 nations on human rights. See that? Despite whatever that, I can't say that word, concern. That's the capital city, I guess, in China. So let's look at what happened. See, attempts by Canada to raise concerns about human rights violation in China. See, they constantly trying to attack China, all these nations. So the powers that be, they said attempts by Canada to raise concerns about human rights violation in China. Beijing, I guess that's what it was, region, were met with stiff resistance on Tuesday following Ottawa's joint statement at the United Nations. They go to the United Nations again. Leslie E. Norton, Canada permanent representative to the UN, issued an urgent plea for transparency and access to China's Northwest, where rights groups and extensive media investigations have alleged widespread discriminatory policies targeting Uyghur Muslims living in the region. Her statement was submitted on behalf of 44 signatories, including the United States, at the 47th regular session of the Human Rights Council. So look what happened. They tried one thing, but it backfired. So then it says, however, her concerns were almost immediately dismissed by a group of 65 member states led by Belarus that sided with Beijing. Following the June 23rd session, China said that it had support for its policies from more than 90 countries, while describing Western governments as self-styled human rights judges. So he's saying that, how you going to, let me close this, say, how you going to try to backdoor us and say that we're doing human rights violations when he says it? Ambassador Norton told UN that Canada and others were gravely concerned about the human rights situation in Beijing with the Uyghur autonomous region, right? So credible reports indicate that over 1 million people have been arbitrarily detained in whatever this place is, and that there is widespread surveillance disproportionately targeting Uyghurs and members of other minorities and restrictions of fundamental freedoms and Uyghurs culture, he said. So there are also reports of torture or cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment or punishments, forced sterilization, sexual and gender-based violence, forced separation of children from their parents by authorities. Norton added in a cross-regional statement representing 44 states. See, so she called on China's grant immediate, meaningful, and unfettered access to exams for its independent observers, including the UN Human Rights Chief Michelle Backett, who announced on Monday her intentions of to inspect. Where it is this year. The Chinese government chided Backett for making erroneous remarks. Right. So it says the Canadian representative also touched on Tibet and the deterioration of fundamental freedoms in Hong Kong after China's enacting of sweeping national security law in the summer of 2020. We call on China authority to abide by their human rights obligations, not concluded in a statement signed by, among others, the US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, France, Germany, Italy, and Japan. Observers noted that the distinct lack of Islamic nations in the joint statement, with the notable exception of Bosnia and Herzegovina, which is a majority Muslim. Canada's statement was later overwhelmed by an address of Belarus, which represented 65 member states opposing political motivated and groundless accusations against China based on disinformation. The Chinese mission to the UN said afterwards, yeah, we're going somewhere. So it said the Chinese government has consistently denied any wrongdoings examining where it claims safety has improved and unemployment has gone down thanks to its de-radicalization efforts, which include vocational training facilities around the formerly majority Muslim region. Rights groups have described them as mass detention centers. China's office in Geneva said that 6 Gulf states supported this position after Canada's joint statement. More than 20 other nations are also planning to back Beijing at Human Rights Council sessions in the coming days, still according to Chinese officials. So it says in a separate statement on Tuesday, the Chinese foreign minister said the statement by Valeria stressed respect for the sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity of all countries and non-interference in the internal affairs of sovereign states. The affairs of Hong Kong, Xinjiang, and Tibet are China's internal affairs, and the outside world should not interfere. All should respect the rights of the people of all countries to independently choose the path of human rights and development in light of their national condition, oppose politicizing and double standards on human rights issues, oppose politically motivated and groundless accusations against China based on disinformation, and oppose uh, interference in China's internal affairs under the pretext of human rights, is added. These self-styled human rights judges are always eager to lecture others, here go, but choose to turn a blind eye and downplay their own serious human rights issues. The statement continued, more than 90 countries were against the attempt to smear China, the ministry concluded. So see how it backfires? So they're saying how you all over here with China worrying about this here, and you got all this going on with the Negroes in America. You've been dogged out for 400 years. So see how this backfiring? It's all been playing. Any comments? Everybody good?
I just hope they keep holding their feet to the fire because 400 years of this and nobody really challenged them yet. So now they are. That's great.
Yeah, right. They got their feet to the fire. Okay, let me read just one more little thing, and I'm gonna go to something else. I mean, as far as just saying, let me see. Let's see. Yeah. So this right here is a letter that was sent to the UN again. Let me see. Yeah, this was a letter that was sent to the UN. It says nearly a year after George Floyd's death inspired protests in the United States and around the world, families of Black Americans who died after encounters with the law enforcement are calling upon the United Nations Human Rights Council to launch an independent commission to inquire into police violence against the country's Black citizens. This isn't the first time the UNHRC has been presented with such a request. In fact, we received a similar one last June in the immediate aftermath of Floyd's death, but the HRC immediately launched a global inquiry into systematic racist policies, practices, instead of focusing on practices within the U.S. So they're keeping the press, they're keeping the fire under. And like I said, there's so much stuff going on behind the scenes. It's going to unfold in front of everybody's eyes, and they're going to think that it just happened overnight, but all this stuff being formulated as we speak. All right. So, anybody got any comments on that? Okay. So, I'm going to open it up for some questions, comments, whatever, before I go into this class. Anybody got any questions they came across?
Yeah, that was Newsweek, huh?
Huh?
That was on Newsweek, huh?
Okay, let me see what this is. It says Strong's means to deceive. Genesis 9:27. God should enlarge, deceive Japhet. Pastor deceived was intentionally mistranslated to enlarge. further proving Japhet wasn't Noah's son. Okay. Yeah. Appreciate that.
Yeah, that's what we was talking about earlier, Leonard, about that obelisk being the height, and you divide it 550 feet, and they said divided by something, and it's 6,660.
Right.
And he has had one. He had 61, but it's the symbol of the satanic number.
Right. That's all sacred geometry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. That's what it's all rolled up in one. Yeah. And that, even when you start talking about the Boule and these Greek fraternities, all that stuff tied in there too. They understand it. It's been shown to them. They understand it too. That's what all the symbols and all that stuff all about. The flashing the symbols, all that. It's all tied together. Right. Anybody else got anything? Question? Comment? Okay. Well, so I've been talking about giants, and I've been talking to different people here and there about it. So I'm just gonna go all the way in because the thing is that I was sitting there looking at it, and I mean, you go back to Christianity, and none of this stuff come up. It's like it's a whole other story going on. In the Tanakh, because I know back in the day, I didn't know none of this stuff. You know how complicated it was and what was really going on. So start this off. I'm gonna start with Nimrod. Genesis chapter 14. Let me see. 10. Genesis 10. Genesis chapter 10 says, verse 6 says, and the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Sheba, Havilah, Sabath, and Remah, and Sibekat, and the sons of Remah, Sheba, and Dedan. And Cush begot Nimrod, and he became a mighty one in the earth. So we already know what that is. It's a giant. He became a mighty one in the earth. And then it says, and he was a mighty hunter. Check this out. This is where it's going to get interesting. So he was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord, and the beginning of his kingdom. See that? The word king is in the word kingdom. Okay? So it says, and the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Iraq, and Akkad, and Calneh, and the land of Shinar, right? And out of that land went forth Asher, and he built Nineveh and the city of Levi. So Nimrod kingdom was these 5 cities right here: Babel, Iraq, Akkad, Calneh, and Shinar, right? So let's go to 14. And then we know in chapter 11, verse 1, it says, this pertaining to Nimrod, and the whole earth was one language and one speech. And it came to pass that they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the lands of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us go down and make bricks, right? Then it says in verse 7, go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of the whole earth, and they left off to build a city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the languages of all the earth. From thence did the Lord scatter them from abroad upon the face of the earth. So you would assume that was the end of Nimrod, right? When he did this right here, you figure that's the end of Nimrod, right?
Right.
Okay, well, let's go to chapter 14. Got to do some research on this. I'm just going to give you the information. So, chapter 14 says, it came to pass in the days of Armathal, king of Shinar. That's Nimrod. That's Nimrod. Nimrod ain't go nowhere. So that's him. When you go Google it and get the name of the meaning of that. That's Nimrod. So say it came to pass in the days of Armazal. That name means it's got to do with what the Creator did to him. He took away his kingdom, and so that's what that name means. That's Nimrod. So anyway, Shinar, and then it says Iraq, king of Elegant, and he's got these other names, title kings. These made war with Barak, king of Sodom, and with Barak, king of Gomorrah, Shanad, king of Edoma, and I can't say these names. And then it says in Zebulun, the king of Bela, which is Zoar. These were joined together in the Vale of Zidon, which is in the South Sea, right? So let's look at that. I want to show you something. So right here in this image, okay. Yeah, this big, you know, for somebody that's trying to get the understanding of what's really going on. Okay. So see this right here? This is the land of Israel right here. This is the King's Highway. I told you these giants are all this here. Before the Israelites got there, this whole place is awash with giants. So this is the highway. It's a highway. See that? That's called the King's Highway. Nimrod is the king. It's the King Highway. See right here? They go to Jerusalem. It's the King Highway, all this here, all this area right here is the giants all over the place. They're tripping all over each other. So remember that. So you see it, right? Okay. So now let's go to Genesis chapter, Deuteronomy chapter 2. Deuteronomy chapter 2 says, chapter 2, verse 1 says, Then we turned and took our journey into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea, as the Lord spake unto me, and we compassed Mount Seir many days. And the Lord spake unto me, saying, Ye have compassed this mountain long enough. Turn ye north, and command all the people, saying, Ye are to pass through the coast of your brethren, the children of Esau, which dwell in Seir. They shall be afraid of you. Take ye good heed. So take ye good heed. Let me see on that. Command all the people, saying, you are not to pass through the coast of your brethren, the children of Esau, which dwell in Seir, and they shall be afraid of you. Take ye good heed unto yourselves, therefore, meddle not with them, for I will not give you their land, no, not so much as a footbreadth, because I have given Mount Seir unto Esau for possession. Ye shall buy meat of them for money, that ye may eat, and ye shall also buy water for them for money, that ye may not drink. For the Lord thy God hath blessed thee in all thy works of thy hand. He knoweth thy work, thy walking through this great wilderness these 40 years. The Lord thy God hath been with thee, thou hast lacked nothing. And when he passed by from our brethren, the children of Esau, which dwell in Seir, through the way of the plains from Elah, and from Elam returned and passed by the way of the wilderness of Moab. And the Lord said unto me, okay, anyway, so when you understand the story about right here, what happened, Amalek got into it. Amalek, the children of Esau, Amalek is, like I said, Amalek, the tribe of Amalek is the same as Judah is to Jacob. They came out against Israel. And so Israel fled from them, but they took the King's Highway. That's the King's Highway I just showed you. And so King, they talking about that's Nimrod. That's King Highway. We're gonna get into that in a minute. So let's go back to, and I showed you right here, I showed you in Deuteronomy chapter 2, all these giants. Let's look at some of them again, because it's going to come up in a minute. So I showed you in chapter 10, Eman, the dwelt therein time past, right? People great, many and tall, they Anakim. Then 12, Horam, right? All these giants, it's giants all over the place, all over Israel, all over that land, the Middle East, land of Canaan. Then you go down to 20, the Zezimim, right? And 23, Avon, which dwelt in Hazarone, that's giants. And then Capitrum, which came from out of Captor, destroyed them and dwelt in their stead. And, just giants all over there. So these names will come up again in a minute, but we've been reading over them. That's the reason why I'm showing you now. So, I'm in Genesis 14. Genesis 14. Chapter 14 says, starting at verse 1, this a battle of kings. And I told you kings back then it was giants. They had these crowns on their head, and they called them giants. Let me show you something right quick. Okay, okay, that's a long one. That's what I'm doing.
Hey, Lynn, why are you doing that? I was looking at something last night about this one guy, but about giants and stuff, and
Right,
it's coming to the point now. Like this one guy, and I forget where he's at in the United States, uh,
right,
found skeletal remains of a giant, and he put it out there in the news and stuff, and
right,
he refused to give it away and give it up. So all of a sudden, some family, some friends came to visit him because he lived out by himself. Came to
right,
visit him, and not only was the house gone and all that stuff, they had planted trees where his house was at. So
right.
something happened to him, and because he found him, and there was some other parts out there where I guess apparently there was a lot more discoveries, so they removed him off that property.
Okay.
And,
The government
they,
did.
huh?
The government removed
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
it.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's starting to be. And the guy was doing the research. They said that's starting to be commonplace anywhere in the United States, and they found a lot of them in the Grand Canyons, and they sectioned that part of the Grand Canyon off where no one's allowed to go in that area
Right.
because
Yeah,
they
that was
found tunnels and caves.
right. Those giants that's in that area by the Grand Canyon, they were red-headed giants too. That's what they hide from us. These red-headed. It was red-headed giants over in the Middle East. It was red-headed giants over here in the Americas, and it was red-headed giants in China. They finding red-headed giants in China. They digging up the graves, and because the hair don't die, hair still be growing. So they got these skeletons with this red hair and growed all over the grave. They find that all over the place, like red-headed giants. So there's something going on with that and the red head. That's why I say, we've been duped because you see somebody with fire red hair. How you how you come from the same place they came from and they got fire red hair and you got woolly kinky hair? Two different origins. You don't take a baboon can figure that out. Two different origins. They got us so duped. We don't understand all that. You're not putting together. You ain't thinking like Hebrews. Yeah. So you finished?
Oh yeah, I'm on mute.
Right. So right here I'm showing you If you go back to Cain, let's go back to Cain right quick. So war, pillaging, and debauchery and all that, it came from these giants. So it says right here, look at it. I mean, Genesis chapter 4. I'm at verse 19. This descendants of Cain. It says, and Lamech took unto him 2 wives, and the name of one was Ada, the name of the other was Zillah, and Ada bore Jubal. These Ada and Zillah is giants, giant women, right? So, and these boys they having is the sons of Ada. It's a female, she a giant, 21. And his brother name was Jubal. He was the father of all such as handled the harp and the organ. And Zillah, she bore Tubal Cain, right? I told you what that Tubal means. And an instructor of artificial of brass and iron, and the sister of Tubal Cain was Naomi. So they started fashioning iron and metal and making swords. There it is right there. See what they got on? They warlike people. Giants was behind it. Giants was one behind this. The fallen angels brought them on the scene, and then this how they were. This how they mind they have. They all about, like I say, sexual deviancy and all this stuff, and murder, and they eating people. But they got this on because they fight. They warriors. They and we learned it from mankind learned it from them. See that? So this anyway. This I don't know if you've seen the movie, but it's Jack the Giant Slayer. So anyway, so that's what we talk about when we go back over here where I was at. It says in chapter 14, verse 1, it came to pass in those days that Almazal of Shinar, verse 2, that these were that they made war with Burkar. So it's one group of giants making war with another. I told you that highway, King's Highway, is all the giants all over that place. So then 3, and these were joined together in the vale of Sidon, which is in the South Sea. 12 years they served Calamer, and in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year came Calamai and the kings that were with him, these giants, kings and giants, and small, the Rehoboam and Asheroth and Keraphim. See all this I am on the end of them, these all giants. And Zuzan, we just saw them over there in Deuteronomy 2, verse 20. Zuzan in Ham. See that? In Ham, right? And the Eman, that's what we just talked about, and Shiva Keraphim, right? And the Horites in their mounts in Mount Seir unto El Paran, which is in the wilderness. And they returned and came to Ispath, which is Kadesh. That's the same Kadesh that's in Jerusalem. That area I showed you in King's Highway is eventually became the 12 allotments for the tribe of Israel, where these giants is there, because they came in and pushed them out and killed a lot of them. So it says King Ada and Bela, the same as Zora, and they joined battle with them in the Vale of Zidon, when Kedar, king of Elam, and Tedar, king of the nations, and Armathal, which is Nimrod, king of Shinar, and Arik, king of Elisha, 4 kings with 5. And the Vale of Sidon was full of slime pits, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled and fell there, and they that remained fled to the mountains. And they took all the goods of, here we go, they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their victuals and went away. You see, and they took Lot. See that? This is how Lot got caught in this. It was a giant war. They called it the 100,000 giant war. And Lot got caught up in this, right? So it says, and they took Lot, Abraham's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed, right? So then 13, we read over all this. That's why I'm talking about it now. So 13 says, and there came out one that had escaped, and he told Abraham the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plains of Mamre. See, now here we go. He dwelt in the plains of Mamre, the Amorite. See that? So it's a giant from the Amorites. His name Mamre. So go to chapter 18 right quick. Chapter 18, verse 1. And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre. See that? That's a giant. That's his area, his dwelling place. And the Lord appeared to him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent during heat of day. So that's a giant. Go back to 13, in the plains of Mamre, the Amorite. And then brother of Iskar, this is another giant, brother of Anar. These were confederate with Abraham. See that? So this how David got all these giants with him. Abraham confederate with them right here. See that? So then we keep going. 14. And when Abraham heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants. See that? These men right here, David's servants, they was given to David. I'm going to show you that in a minute. It was given to David by the Most High. So, yeah, like I was telling the brother the other day, he asked the question, Abraham had, all of them had to be circumcised. They had to be circumcised because they fell under Abraham's authority. So all of them had to be circumcised. But look on the screen, that's their countenance right here. Because of where they origins. But the Most High put a spirit on them after Abraham circumcised. Then 15, and he divided himself against them, and he and his servants by night smote them, and pursued them on to Habat, which is on the left hand of Damascus, and he brought back all the goods, and also again his brother Lot and his goods, and the woman also, and the people. Right. So now, the reason I'm reading all this for a reason. So now you get to, let me get this over here. So now you get to Melchizedek. So I told you Melchizedek is is a title. It started with Enoch. So what's going on is I'm showing you how many giants it is that we ain't been dealing with. So from Enoch all the way to Noah and Shem, they're teaching these giants. These giants coming together to listen to what Abraham, what Enoch and Adam have to say. They teaching them. That's who Melchizedek is. He's teacher of righteousness. So Enoch went up, was taken up, got all this information. He's teaching these giants. They subject to him. See that? So then we're going to pick it up right there with that understanding. So 17, and the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from slaughter of Kedar and the kings. That Sodom is at the time he was the king of all the giants, king of kings. So he got knocked out by Abraham and all the giants that was with Abraham. He circumcised giants. It says, and the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Calamar or whatever it is, and the kings that were with him in the valley of Sheba, which is in the king's dale. So let's look at that. So we say the valley of Sheba, right? So we say, what is that? We're reading over that. So you come to find out this valley of Sheba is means the valley of Sheba means to reach a compromise, right? In this valley, so in that valley right there, Abraham had to make a decision because let's look at it. 17 says 21. I'm in verse 21. Genesis 14:21. And the king of Sodom said to Abraham, see that? The king of Sodom, he got all this, he done got all this wealth and spoil from all these giants. He done killed all of them and took these 5 cities. So he says, and the king of Sodom said unto Abraham, give me the person, he's talking about Lot, and take the goods of thyself. Right? And Abraham said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up mine hand unto the Lord, the Most High God, the possessor of heaven and earth, that I will not take from thee, take from a thread even to a shoelace, and that I will not take anything that is thine, lest thou shouldest say, I have made Abraham rich, save only that which is the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men which went with me, Anar, Eshcol, these giants. See that? And Mamre. See that? Mamre. So he's friends with them. That's why he was over there sitting in his land when the three angels came. Say, and let them take portion. So Abraham had to make a decision. He gonna glut over all this wealth that this giant trying to give him, or he gonna stick with Yah. So that word that means the valley of Shiva means the valley of decision. But you keep hearing that in the Bible about the valley of decision, and then also the valley of Jehoshaphat and Kidron Valley. All it's the same place. It's all tied to Abraham, what he did right here. Ain't that something? So we sitting there fumbling with all this. We don't even understand what's going on with it. So the Kidron Valley, then and like I said, the valley of Jehoshaphat, all that stuff that they reading about, talking about all these events supposed to happen in the last days. It's all tied to Abraham and what the decision Abraham made after he defeated those giants and got all the spoil.
Hey, Leonard.
Okay.
You said the guy told Abraham to give him Lot. What was the purpose of him wanting Lot?
Abraham wanted Lot back. That was his grandson.
He was negotiating to give them
get Lot back.
To give all the gold and whatever those valuables in exchange for his family member.
No. See, it's like like mercenaries. If you get ready to go to a battle, and then you see that you're gonna need more soldiers, so you go to another place and ask them to let you have some of their soldiers. You're gonna lend them out. Well, if they win the war, then the guys, the general, whoever in charge, is gonna get those mercenaries spoils.
Okay.
So he was trying to give Abraham some of the spoils, and Abraham said, "Nah, I don't want none, because later on you're gonna say that you the one made me rich." See what I'm saying? And he said he ain't going for that. So he said, "No, you keep that, because I ain't trying to. I ain't going out like that." Right. So all he asked for was what was his, and the guys needed food to eat, and he wanted Lot. And like he said, Abraham said to the king of Sodom, "I have lifted up my hands unto the Lord." So he glorified Yah, or the Lord of hosts. And then he just said, "Give me my kinfolk and the food we need to eat and to be out." But it's something else to that. So I'm in verse 17. It says, "And the king of Solomon went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Calandra, or whatever that is, and the kings that were with him at the valley of Sheba, which is in the Kingsdale, and Melchizedek, king of Salem." See that? So when you go look at the map, that's Salem, Jerusalem. So that's Shem. Shem right there in the area, the king. So I told you, they've been all over the place dealing with these giants, teaching them from way back from Enoch time. So the King Dale, which is where the King of Kings, giant, this King's Highway, all this stuff in the same area, and Melchizedek there, Shem. That's what Shem is dwelling there. You remember in Jasher, Abraham at 10 years old went and lived with Shem and Eber, right? Yeah, he went to live with Noah, Shem, Noah, Shem, and Eber. He went and lived with them. So they over here in this area right here, the valley, what I'm telling you about, the valley of Shiva, which is the Kidron Valley. You hear that all the time when you start dealing with David and all them, the Kidron Valley. That's the same place. That's where Melchizedek was at, which is Shem. And so he came out after Abraham had defeated those giants, and Shem came out. Abraham went to him and bowed down. Look what it says. It says 18, "And Melchizedek, king of Shalom, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High." That's Shem. 19, "And he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abraham of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth, and he blessed be the Most High God, which hath delivered thine enemies into thy hands, and he gave him tithes of all." Yeah, Abraham tithed to Shem. Right. So way more stuff going on in that little area right there than than we even imagine. And then, like I said, it's all giants involved in it. So yeah, let me show you something else on there. Somebody had a question or a comment? So I'm in verse 18, chapter 15, verse 18. So it says, in the self same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abraham, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land from the river Egypt, that's from Goshen, unto the river the Euphrates, and the Kenites. See that? I told you giants all over the place. The Kenites, the Kezrites, the Cumanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Rephaim, and the Amorites. That's what Mamre was, the Amorite, and the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. So all them people was given to him, the land and all these giants right here. And so Nimrod circumcised. I mean, Abraham, they had to all be circumcised. They had to submit to Abraham. But it ain't nothing new because they've been submitted to Enoch, they were submitted to Noah, and on down the line. They've been dealing with them, teaching them the ways of the Most High and the understanding of the Most High. But they had rebelled from Noah and Shem them. They rebelled from them. And so when Abraham came on the scene, they had rebelled away from them. That's what this big war was all about. But they took all that out because they don't want to deal with it because they're trying to take you to the JC to the New Testament. So they didn't downplayed all that. Okay. Okay. Anybody got anything? Comments? Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna go into this right here. I gotta keep bouncing in and out the screen. Yeah. So people right here, I think I showed you these before, but I'm gonna show you again. So here we go. So this is a book right here. I don't know if you've seen this before. It's the Lost Book of Og. So Og is one of the giants over here that Moses and them came up against. So Og is Nimrod was Nimrod became a mighty hunter before the Lord. So that means he at one point he was dealing with the Lord. So Nimrod, the giants that was with Nimrod have been circumcised. But Og, they wasn't. So we're gonna read some of this right quick. This is how you get the verification. So we're just gonna look at it. It says, I showed you they the ones had the mail on. Okay, I'm gonna show you this other book so I can open it back up. So this is one of them right here. This one book, right? This is the Lost Book of King Og. And this is the book of Og, Enoch, and the Giants. A lot of information in there back, But let me read this right here. Let me get it, bring it right back up. Okay. So I'm gonna start reading right here. It says it's called 100,000 Giant War. That's how many giants is around. So if you had 100,000 of them and they died, there's 100,000 demons because the spirit of the giant still here on earth, afflicting mankind. So anyway, it says, and war broke out between Og and Nimrod. See that? Circumcised and uncircumcised giants. Okay, so it says Og's and Nimrod's kingdom. Okay, all right. It says Og and his giants marched across the desert, that is, toward the circumcised Nephilim. And the circumcised Nephilim and Nimrod marched to meet them, and the uncircumcised Rephaim released the elephants, rhinoceros, great beasts of old, and the creeping things onto the field of battle. And the circumcised Nephilim brought no beast whatsoever. So Raphaim fought the war and acted wisely concerning each giant, girded his weapon of war, and fought according to all that all of the earth, the sun, the moon, the stars, the celestial bodies, uh, and Ma'at had told them. Each of the uncircumcised Raphaim killed 100. So these Raphaim, I told you, these Raphaim was more ruthless and bigger than a lot of those other giants. So it says uh, the Raphaim killed 100 or more of the circumcised Nephilim. There has been no violence likened unto the 100,000 giant war before or since. So you got to think about that. It's got all these giants all over the place with weapons of war. They slaughtering each other, against each other. But this is where the trick come in at. You say, well, how you know this stuff real? Okay, well, let's look. I'm gonna read this first. Then I'm gonna come back to that. So tie your shoes up. Here we go right here. So it says, I'm in 2 Samuel right quick. 2 Samuel. Let me get it. 2 Samuel 23:8. So I'm gonna read as much as I can over. It's talking about the 33 giants that was with David. So this is 2 Samuel 23:8. These be the names of the mighty men, giants, which David had. The Tachmonite, I can't pronounce his name, so that sat in the seat, chief among the captains of the same was Abinadu the Ezonite. He lifted up his spear against 800, whom he slew at one time. And after him was Eleazar, the son of Judah, the Ahuite, one of the three mighty men with David, when they defiled the Philistines that were together, that gathered together to battle, and the men of Israel were gone away. He arose and smote the Philistines until his hand was weary, and his hand clave unto the sword, and the Lord wrought a great victory that day, and the people returned after him only to the spoils. And after him was Shema, the son of Agag, the Hararite, and the Philistines were gathered together in a troop. Uh, where was it? Says it, where was a piece of ground full of lentils, and the people fled from the Philistines. But he stood in the midst of the ground and defended it and slew the Philistines, and the Lord wrought a great victory. And 3 of the 30 chiefs went down and came to David in the harvest time unto the cave of Adullam, and the troops of the Philistines pitched in the valley of Rephaim. And David was then in a hole, and the garrison of the Philistines was then in Bethlehem. And David longed and said, oh, that one would give me drink of the water of the well of Bethlehem, which is by the gate. And the 3 mighty men brake through the host of the Philistines and drew water out of the well of Bethlehem that was by the gate, and took it and brought it to David. Nevertheless, he would not drink thereof, but poured it out unto the Lord. And he said, be it far from me, O Lord, that I should do this. Is not this the blood of the men that went in jeopardy of their lives? Therefore, he would not drink it. These things did these 3 mighty men. Then here we go. Abishai, brother of Joab, the son of Zerah, was chief among 3, and he lifted up his spear against 300, and he slew them, and he had the name among 3. Was he not most honorable of the 3? Therefore he was there the captain. Howbeit he obtained not unto his first 3. Benaiah the son of Jedediah, the son of a valiant man of Kibzael, who had done many acts. He slew 2 lion-like men of Moab, and he went down also and slew a lion in the midst of a pit in the time of snow. And he slew the Egyptian, a goodly man, and the Egyptian had a spear in his hand, but he went down to him with a staff and plucked the spear out of the Egyptian's hand and slew him with his own spear. These things did Benaiah the son of Jedidiah had, and it had the name among the 3 mighty men. So we see it's some giants among them that's got lion features, right? He said the two lion-like men. And then, so let's look at this. Look at what Og is saying about. And then remember what it says about Nimrod. It said Nimrod was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Okay? Let's look at this right here. It says, and the water began to fall. I'm back in the book of King Og. It says, and the water began to fall from the sky, and all who marched were wet, and their weapons were made heavy because of it. The uncircumcised raised from whose minds were full of violence. See that? Minds, that's all they violent, right? They were driven on by the death of and their hatred of the circumcised, which strengthened their violence resolve. So they got a hatred for the circumcised giants. The circumcised Nephilim also had minds of violence and anger about uh, uh, wrath going to war over, and the water mixed with the ground of the field of battle, which was called damnation, and the mud became thick and slowed them down, some. The uncircumcised walked forward to the circumcised, and the circumcised walked forward to the uncircumcised, and the Rephaim walked upon the field of battle, which is called damnation, and as if in the midst of the sea, and the water fell upon them and their right hand and on their left, and the giants carried their swords, axes, and lances, and led their beasts of old to kill on the field of battle. The fountain of the deep opened up also, and the windows of heaven opened wider, and rain unrestrained fell upon the field of battle, and the waters returned to the earth continuously, and they were not abated. This was the very beginning of the 40 days and 40 nights prophecy that had been foretold by the priest of Baal, of the sons who were that followed. He named these giants like they priests. And the mud then became as thick as a cold darkness that swallowed at the Rephaim feet as they marched. The anger and hatred grew within King Og's army against the circumcised Nephilim. For Baal of the moon sent his wrath in this war against the circumcised nation. Baal of the moon hardened King Og's heart so that he would not lose the war. Baal of the moon then strengthened King Og and his giants to take the plunder and to strip off the spoils from the temples and the dwellings and trample the circumcised Nephilim like beggars in the street. Okay, I'm looking for something. Okay. Maybe in my other book. Hold up.
Hey, Leonard, does this fall into the category where the I'm losing my train of thought here, whether all the giants were going to be taken, where Michael came down and or was it Raphael came down and made the giants fight against each other to extinguish them off the earth?
Right, yeah. But it's not the first time he did. He did it before too.
Okay.
But this is what I'm reading now is in the book of Og, Enoch, and the Giants. So it says right here, remember that Benai Abishai said he fought against two lion-like men, right? So this is Og talking. He says, let me get it. During the time of the sacrifice of the loose of the priest, I my half, it says, governed my half of the great land, and Nimrod his half. I continuously marveled over the tranquil peace between our warlike tribes, so they warlike. And Nimrod, Nephilim kingdom enforced circumcision, while Og did not. See, that's where you got the circumcised and uncircumcised. In that season, the kingdom of Og formed a pact, a brotherhood with all remaining Rephaim tribes and lands. This pact introduced a vermin-like smaller shells to the Baal worship. In that pact, I call Nimrod the mighty hunter. Nimrod, blood of my own lineage. Now, with the death of all the remaining Rephaim upon Nimrod's hand, I no longer honor the cowardly half-lion Nephilim hunter. So Nimrod was half-lion. Come on now. He says, I no longer have honored the half-lion Nimrod hunter called Nimrod. So that's why he was a mighty hunter. So look at this. Then it says, only a half-line Nephilim coward murders a child. For this offense, he urinated upon his dead after Nimrod was killed until the meat of the official peeled away till he decayed. Then it says, of all of the warlike hatred, right? And the remains of the Nephilim hunter, Nimrod, who laid his kingdom into to a lion weakening member carving practice, circumcision. I will tell you of how the Nephilim vomited soap, circumcised Nimrod offended, and how he the half-line Nimrod defiled by all, causing by all of the earth to guide my unforgiving hands after war to his death. While this and other stories not being told of Anak or the very characters of this book. See that? Say one day I will finish my last meal and push my plate away from and lay down to die. My hatred will cease, but the half-line Nimrod will forever mean stupid. Nimrod's name shall mean the Nimrod of the mind of a mingle of a lion. See, the mind of a man that was mingled with a lion. He alone carries all the disgrace of the red from all who circumcise their members claim allegiance to the Nimrod. Okay. Then it says, of that I could shatter his teeth in Nimrod's mouth again and break the teeth of his half-line Nephilim son. See that? So Nimrod's son had half-line. Junton had the satisfaction of killing. Nimrod's son, whose name will not be mentioned. So, like I said, so that's how you connect dots. So it's telling you over there in King James that Benaiah is killing some giants that had, they was half-line. And then you come to find out, you get a hold of these books, Nimrod half-line. So, come on. Any comments?
Yes. Now I have to go back and start from the beginning because it is so much more interesting now.
Right. And he already
It's like a whole different book.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because they didn't skate it over all that because like I said, all they trying to do, the whole purpose of this King James Bible is to blow JC up. They didn't denigrate our story and our culture and everything that happened that we supposed to know, we need to know. They didn't went over that, scathed over all that. Yeah.
What was the name of the other book? I heard it. I added the Og King and Enoch King of Giants. What was the other book?
It's the Lost Book of King Og. The Lost Book of King Og. Mm-hmm. And another thing about that, you have to understand how those giants, they was living, they was living a long time. That's one of the reasons why they wouldn't submit. They lived so long. Like I was showing you, Nimrod was at the Tower of Babel. He didn't die. He came back and built it back up again. And he had another name. He had a name on his name changed because of the event that happened at the Tower of Babel. He changed his name to Almond Tower. Like I said, just Google it. You'll see. Anybody else have anything? Even the story of Mamie. We don't we reading over there.
Hey Leonard, what's that Enoch Book of Giants? What's it called again?
Enoch. It's the books of Og, Enoch, and the Giants. Yeah, so I was saying how that they got those let me show you right quick. They just did a number on us because of let me find it right quick. Then I'm gonna close out. chapter 2 Samuel 8 and verse 18. We just read about the Benaiah. He went down in the pit and killed 2 lion-like men, right? So I'm in 2 Samuel 8 and verse 18. You got it? 2 Samuel 8 and 18. Y'all got it?
Okay.
So it says Benaiah, the son of Jediah, was over both the Cherites and the Peleites and David's son. So nobody seemed to know who these are, who these people is right here. So go to that, and like I say, so you have to do, go to more than one source, and between the sources, you weigh the information and you pretty much can figure out what's going on. But anyway, so go to Deuteronomy chapter 2. And I showed you in Deuteronomy chapter 2, chapter 10. See that Eman, the wealth therein in time past. So all these giants I'm showing you in chapter 2 of Deuteronomy, they in the land of Canaan. So then I Googled, I went and looked at the research on these Eman and said, who are the Emans? It said a tribe of family of gigantic stature lived by the Dead Sea. And then this is the thing about them. They was terror. When you saw them, it put terror on you. A warlike tribe of giants. They was called the dreaded ones. They was horrible and terrible. So the guy was asking who was these people that Benaiah was over with, and why they're not really talking about them. That's who it is. These Emo right here. These people right here. That's who Benaiah was over. And they're not telling us, they ain't telling us none of this. And this is the reason why David was doing all the things. He had to have something like this with him in order to conquer that land and to do the things he did. But it's like I said, Deuteronomy 2 Samuel 8 and 18. And then you can go from there. It's mentioning these Cherites and these Pelerites all over the place. But it's like they was they was worse than mercenaries. They was just straight up killers. But the Most High had a spirit on them. They were giants, but Most High had a spirit on them. They were submitted to David. You gotta imagine that. Can you imagine a giant that got lion in him, but then he's submissive to David. They won't do nothing to David. Right. So let me show you something right quick. Like I said, you have to do don't take my word for it. So anyway, let me get this last image right here, and then we'll close out. So I was telling you about it. If you haven't seen the movie, Jack the Giant Slayer, you need to go watch it. But look here, it says. See if I got the right one. Yeah, see that? So this in the movie. That's a giant right there. See? So this right here, see the red, all that? They saying that this actually happened, right? Which we know now it did. But this in the story, at the end of the movie, this crown right here ended up being a crown that's in Great Britain. That's on this dude's head. So you see all these giants back here, especially this one. See, they bowing down. The boy right here ended up putting the crown on his head. This crown had some kind of mystical or whatever they had, some kind of some kind of priest made it out of some kind of special metal, and whoever had it on them giants submissive to him. But we know now that was David. It's all about David. So he got the crown on. The giants, they done broke through the wall to get ready to kill all these people, but this boy got the crown on. So now all of them had to throw all their weapons down. See this big old slingshot? Big old slug back here? They throw all their weapons down and got out on the ground. So this is the spirit Most I had on the giants when it came to David. But we ain't got that in our head. So look, see how dangerous he is compared to David. But Most had a spirit on them. They were submissive to David. They wouldn't tear him apart.
It's interesting how they twisted it all up and didn't
Yeah.
give it definite clarity. We watching movies of
Right.
actual events, but they added their own twist to it. It's crazy.
Right. And then now watch this. I told you it's redhead giants all over the planet. They ain't telling you that. So when you start talking about the beast system, it was already a system in place. Giants it was a system. These megalithic cities was all over. We find them in America. They was all over the place. Because these angels, they're not confined to the ground. They was all over the place. They can fly, and whatever they can do, they can go all over. So they had these giants all over. They was a global system they already had in place. It was denigrated by the flood. They brought it back. What I'm telling you about the obelisk. That's what all that's about. But look at this. Let me show you this right quick, then close out. Like I say, we sleeping on it. So they follow their lineage through the woman. But we know the Most High says to follow through the male. So why are they following through the woman? Look at this. Because of them Ada and them two giant women that Esau married, they was redheads. That's why he married them. They was redhead giant women, and he wanted Amalek and all them. They had redhead. They was redhead. Right. So look, let's hope I get the right one. That's it right there. Yeah, see that? Look at her. They putting it right in your face. This the lady on Jack and the Giant. This the boy, the queen. See? Blood red hair. You think it's an accident? Ain't that something? And like I said before, if you go and do your research on the history of Great Britain, the first we had like 10, 8 or 9 women that ruled Great Britain. Well, one of them called Bloody Mary. They all had blood red hair. They ascended from those giants, those redhead giants. But see, they sticking it right in your face right here. Okay. All right. So, well, like I say, we don't do no research. We don't read, so they throw us in the cross.
I have a question, one last question.
Okay.
Was one of the sons of Ham named Lehabim?
I never heard that.
Lehabim, one of the sons of Ham.
Where you get that?
Well, he was the third son of Mizraim.
Okay, let me look. I can see that right quick. I can see it. Spell it again.
Lehabim. I'm sorry, yeah, the third son of Mizraim.
Right, let me look. Okay. Okay. Now someone's out of here. Yeah. Lubim.
Lehabim. Maybe that's how it's spelled.
Yeah. That's in chapter 10 of Genesis, verse 13.
Right, because if you look it up, it'll say colored red.
Right. Okay.
So this must have been redhead Egyptian giants.
Right. They was the thing about it is from saying they didn't I can't think of the name of that some kind of group or historical group. They've been going around hiding all the bones of the giants. I can't think of the name of that. Yeah, but they've been hiding all the bones. Every time they find a giant grave or whatever, they come in and take all the bones and go and hide them somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier.
What's the name of it?
I don't know the name of the group, but that's what I was looking at yesterday. I'm going to find that. I don't know if I sent it to you on your personal group message, but I'll find it and I'll send it to you.
Okay. Yeah, it's a name, but I guess on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember. Yeah, so like I was saying in Genesis chapter 10, from verse 11 all the way down to 20, it's all giants, and they all came out of Mizraim.
And Zephyr was a giant too, wasn't he?
Right. Yeah. Right. He's come from Ada.
Because I thought he was the one who fought Nimrod and killed him.
No, they say that. Yeah. No. Let me see.
And he stole the
Yeah. Zephno. Right. Yeah.
Zeph. That's the Zephno.
Right. Yeah. Killed Nimrod. That's in Jasher.
Yep.
Okay. Right here. That's what it says. Did the garments given to Nimrod by Cush assist him in becoming a mighty hunter before the Lord? Yeah. Yeah, it assisted him, and then he also said that even Nimrod did the same thing after Nimrod got the garments.
Yeah.
Nimrod stretched forth his hands unto heaven, and the Most High assisted him in battle. But then, as soon as he won the battle and got out of the pickle, he cast the Most High out.
He was a turncoat.
Right. Yeah, he's a turncoat. Right. Exactly. Okay. Okay. Appreciate that. Anybody else got anything? Okay. Everybody good?
I'm good.
Okay. Yeah.
Good as red beans and rice.
Great class. Great class.
Okay. So let me hit this right here, and we're gonna see. I'm gonna see all the brothers tomorrow with men's class. Then I see everybody else on Wednesday.
All right, shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Yeah.
Shalom.
Got some? All right. Shalom.